What's up, guys? How's it going? MikeTheTech here, and today I'm going to give you a quick review and comparison of the K400 right here, the Logitech K400 and the K400 Plus. Now, the difference between these two is very minimal, but I've had the K400R. There is a distinction between the K400 and the K400R. I've had the K400R for quite a few years now, and it recently started, the trackpad's kind of going bad a little bit. It still works fine, but it's a little jumpy sometimes, and I just wanted to kind of upgrade it to the new model. So I'm here to show you the positives and negatives about switching to the K400 Plus, or if you're just looking for a keyboard, this review might help you decide a little better. So the first thing I want to show you is the K400. The K400, it's a little old here, you can see that, K400. It is a really solid wireless keyboard. It's about 30 feet or so. It's not Bluetooth, it uses the Logitech unifying receiver, so I believe it is RF based, but the keyboard itself is very nice. When you're holding it in your hand, you have a left click button right here and the trackpad on the right, so as you're using it, you can actually use this and click over here at the same time, so it works almost like a game controller. It's really, really cool when you're on the couch and lounging. You could pretty much do anything on your computer with a keyboard and mouse just like this. The F keys are very useful as well. They have some common volume right here, volume up, down, mute, all that stuff, and you can open up your favorite interface or music app, or even turn off your computer from the top buttons up here. Now, the only thing that I didn't like about this keyboard is, and when I first got it, I mean, now I'm used to it, which I kind of had to get used to switching back, but when I first got it, it really bothered me. But the shift key is actually really, really tiny. This is a normal size shift key right here, and this one, where is it? This one, I'm looking at myself in the camera. This one right here is just the size of a regular key. And that is really, really annoying. And that's something that was actually fixed in the K400 Plus. You can see that the shift key is full size now. Great, that fixes the problem. That aside, the keyboard itself is solid. The trackpad is very, very cool. And the power button is right on top, right here. You can just switch it on or switch it off. It's very reachable. And then in the back, we have a place for batteries. I use Eneloops because they last forever. They claim that this will last a year with batteries, and these don't disappoint. They last a very long time. I think I've maybe had to switch them out once or twice in the entire time I've had them. And then there is a spot on here to hold the unifying receiver so that you don't lose it if you're going to pack it up or something. So that's very cool. Now let's take a look at the K400 Plus. This right here is the K400 Plus. Similar design with the clicking on the left side and the trackpad on the right side, except there's no other buttons up here because those weren't really used that much. Most people don't press a button to go to their music app. They have a special website that they go to or an app that they're used to. And nobody really uses the home key. Nobody turns off their computer by pressing the power, but it's just not that useful. Some people, I'm sure, might use it, but as a dedicated key on a keyboard, it was kind of redundant and unnecessary. What they did do is they realized the usefulness of volume controls. So instead of having the volume in the function keys, we actually have it right here above the trackpad. So that's really cool. You could be using the trackpad and then you could mute it, you could turn things up or down, and it's very easy to use. As I said earlier, the shift key is, again, larger. And if you actually look at the size of the keyboards relative to each other, and I'll do a close-up of this later, but they're pretty close. They're pretty similar in size. They're almost exactly the same. The actual keyboard itself isn't quite the same. I believe, actually, they might be pretty close to the same. You know, at first I was thinking the K400 Plus was slightly larger, but it does look like they're about the same size. The trackpad as well looks to be about the same size. And the only thing that has moved aside from that is the power button. You'll notice that it's not as close to the edge. On this side, you have to reach a little further to actually turn it off. Where if I want to turn off the keyboard here, it's very easy, but I can't actually reach that, and I have to kind of grab it in a weird way to turn off the keyboard. That might be a negative for you, it might not, but I do notice that it's first world problems. A little bit harder to reach the power button with your hand, but otherwise it's a very similar and solid build. It's got great range and supposedly longer battery life than the K400. My only worry and concern, while it hasn't seemed to come up in other comments, I'm not sure if it's an isolated incident, but the K400 Plus I tend to leave on while I normally turned off the K400 when I wasn't using it. That way if something fell on the keyboard, it wouldn't like mess up the movie or something we're watching. Now I tend to leave it on because I've noticed that when I turn on the device, the keyboard, and I move the mouse, it responds immediately. But when I try and press any keys, sometimes there's a delay of sometimes even up to 5 seconds where I'm just pressing a key over and over and over, nothing's happening, and then finally it starts working and I have to erase a bunch of stuff I typed in Google. So it isn't perfect. I do notice the keyboard delay. The mouse again is really quick, but I remedy that by just leaving the keyboard on. It lasts like a year anyway, and I'm using rechargeable batteries, so it's not really going to affect the longevity of it, but it is something to keep in mind. And again, this may be an isolated incident, but that's my experience. Otherwise, they're both very solid choices for keyboards, and I really enjoy the K400 Plus. I think it's the better keyboard, it's the better design, it has the shift key that actually makes sense, and yeah, I believe you can even customize your function keys, which is pretty interesting. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, leave them down below, and I hope you enjoyed this comparison video between the K400R and the K400 Plus by Logitech. Hashtag not a sponsor. I'll see you all later. Peace.